Well, good afternoon again. I hope you're having a good time as much as all of us who are participating. For me, I'm having a wonderful moment with everyone. We'd like to welcome you back to our United in Diversity series, where at this point we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. And the topic is cultural diversity, a real maze. It's a maze because we don't know how to navigate through that. And today I have asked 4 people from 4 different countries to tell us a little bit about how to navigate the maze of cultural diversity. Today we have Sister Jane, who is joining us from the Philippines, and we have Kai, who is joining us from Myanmar, and we have Alisa joining us from Russia, and then we have Amita joining us from India, and I'm Safari Wambaleka from the United States. I want to ask you a few questions, and maybe in part of it, I want you to tell us some of the stories of your personal cultural encounter here at IAS. The first question goes to everyone. What is unique about your culture? If somebody wants to go to your country, what is one thing or two that you feel like they should definitely know about this before they travel to your country? Anyone? Yes, Jane?
All right, so since we're here in the Philippines, there are 3 things that I list that is very important for every foreigner to know. The first one is we are a very happy people. So,
what do you mean?
As you see, I'm smiling.
All right.
So, Filipinos, we don't let problems overwhelm us. Of course, we do cry or we get stressed, but you will notice that when Filipinos are gathered together, we always joke. Laughter is everywhere. So, and even administrators jokes to their subordinates, teachers jokes to their students. So we joke a lot and we laugh a lot. That's one thing unique about our culture.
Before you go any further, I just want to underline that specific aspect of joking, because even myself, I found that it was pretty much here in the Philippines, and I've seen this all around the Philippines, that it is common for people to throw a lot of jokes, and actually some of the jokes may hurt the people. But on the other side, in the Philippines, actually, it is okay if the joke hurts you. It's not a problem. It's not something that they will have to be careful about. You know, if you hurt me with your joke, I will find another way to hurt you in another joke. But it's still all fun. If you find that you feel like you are stressed because of a joke, then somebody will say, feel like they have scored, and they will still continue to be part of the fun. Let's hear the second one that you have.
Yeah, the second one is, in our culture, whenever we eat, and for example, there's someone, visiting us, and we're eating. And so, even though there's little food, we'll say, "Oh, hi, come eat with us." But you need to be very careful, because you need to at least say no 3 times. After 3 times, if we still insist that you eat with us, then that's the time you eat with us. Okay? So sometimes if you see me around campus and I'm eating and you're passing by, and I'll say, "Hey, come eat with me." And then you'll see that I only have 1 plate. You can say, "Oh, no problem, I'm full." Because it's a form of greeting, but it's not really inviting you to eat with us.
Then this is where we'll find that we can get in a lot of misunderstanding, because if a Filipino was being invited by an American and you ask, "Please join us," and you say, "No," it means no. Because in the American culture, we're not going to have, don't expect to invite 3 times.
Yes.
If you're hungry, we expect you to use the brain and say, "Okay, I'm hungry." But for all our foreigners who are in the Philippines, let's be a little more careful.
Yeah, more
let's
careful.
Wait until the 3rd time before you can join the food.
Yeah, but you see, we're also very kind. So if you say yes the first time, we will share the food with you.
All right. I think that's a better deal for us foreigners. So if they say yes, you can still eat.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
Thank you so much, Jade. Let's hear anything like special about Myanmar. I know in the first presentation we talked about Myanmar, but we have much more that we can learn about Myanmar. What are some of the things that are just unique about Myanmar that you have not seen here at IS?
Okay. So before I tell you about the uniqueness of Myanmar cultures, I would like to teach you something. Okay, I want you to say Mengalaba.
Menglaba.
Mengalaba.
Menglaba.
So it's a greeting. So if someone greet you Mengalaba, you have to say thank you very much. So the uniqueness of my cultures will be, the first point that I want to say is about when we give something or when we receive something from somebody, we have to use our hand positions like this. Always. Okay? We have to use like this. So especially if it is from somebody who is older, then you bow down a bit and you do like this. That one part. And the second part is, it's very different from the Western cultures. That is, we don't sit like this.
Okay, it looks like I've already broken a lot of rules.
No.
I don't know how many in the audience have broken the rule. Please put your feet down.
No,
Please
it's
continue.
okay, it's okay. So in Myanmar culture, it's like the feet is the lower part. So you, in front of like your teachers, your parents, and all elder people, they are equally as a god. So if you sit in front of your teacher like this, it means very rude already. So,
But can the professor do that?
no.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think if I'm exempted.
And then the third part will be, whenever we go in front of older people, we bow down. When you pass somebody, you bow and you go. It's giving respect to the elders, especially who are teachers, professors, dad and mom, like that.
And this is something that we should pay attention to, especially when we are sent out there in the mission. When we are meeting with the people from Myanmar, we will have to learn to show respect, and we need to train our feet. Because I believe I have broken that rule several times when I went to Myanmar. And when you go back to your country, please tell them I apologize for mistreating the people there.
I will.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jisu Tempare. We are going now to Russia. We have a few students from Russia here, and we know Russia is one of the powerful nations on planet Earth. Do you have something that is unique that we can learn?
All right. As you know, Russia, it's a cold place. And so people think that, and it looks like that we are also cold. There's a common saying that we don't smile, and then we are always serious, we are closed, and it's actually half true. If you walk on the street in Russia, people are really busy, serious, and you would be scared to go and ask something. But when you get to know them, you find that actually they're nice people, they know how to smile, they're kind. And another thing, when you visit Russians, when you go to their house, they will always invite you to have meal. And it really means that you have to eat.
It's not like the Philippines.
Yeah.
So if you are invited, the first time you're invited, if you're hungry, you need to say yes.
Yes, you
Okay.
better say yes.
All right.
Because they will convince you, and then they will always offer first tea. It's like tradition before the meal. Yeah.
Talking about tea, one thing that you learn about the Middle East is that tea is part of the greeting. The moment somebody offers you, you come to the house, they offer you tea or coffee, that is part of welcoming you. If you reject that, it means you have nothing to do with the people of that house. And so we need to be careful with these differences and accommodate them when we are dealing with people from different cultures. Thank you so much. Have a little bit of taste of Russia. And we can already see some differences between the Philippines and Russia. Let's try to travel to India, a country that is a serious cultural maze. As I have heard and read, that there's so much cultural richness in India.
Okay. India is unity in diversity. But I will talk about Northeast India, where I come from. Okay. There, whether stranger or friends, when you come home, they will offer you, they will say, bring tea. But it is not tea. They will just bring you water. And you have to drink that water. Okay. If you don't drink, you're offended.
A question. Do you have to finish all the water or sip just a little bit?
Yeah. It's up to you.
Okay.
Half or just sip. That's okay. And then when you travel, when you landed to Delhi, you don't don't try to shake hands with women. Just say namaste. Okay. Okay.
But men to men, they can shake hands?
Yeah.
And women with women?
We normally do.
Oh, it's not much of a handshaking. I will have to keep that in my pocket because I shake a lot of hands. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Let's go to the next question here. I want you to think about a situation that you have gone through here at IS. That was like, wow, I can't believe people do things like this in the world. Because somebody did something that was different from something in your culture. Any personal experience, anybody? Anyone?
Okay, I'll start.
Okay, sure.
Okay. The first time I came here, since Filipino is a very personal community, we're very personal. So when you greet us, we really meant that you're greeting us. So in IS, when I arrived, the first week, people are, asking me, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? And I'm like, I'm fine, and I want to talk more because I thought that they really want to know how am I doing. But they're just simply greeting me. So I figured that out after a week of, trying to explain myself and then get lost because the one asking was like way over there. And I was like, okay, so I think that's just a greeting. It's not really, asking me how I really am doing, something like that. Yeah, because in Philippines, if you say, kumusta ka, that means you really are very, really wanting to know how the person is doing. You don't ask how are you if you really don't mean anything with that person.
Okay, then I will tell all of us, when we talk to Filipinos, when you greet them, good morning, how are you? We should not be rushing away because we are living in the Philippines right now. We ought to respect the Filipino culture. Thank you so much,
right.
Jane. Let's go to Alisa. Anything that has happened to you here at IS that was like, wow, never thought this happens in the world?
So, my first week here, I couldn't understand why everyone smiles to me and greets me. I don't know them, but they smile, they greet me, they come and shake hands. So when somebody smiles to you, it has different meaning. It may be something like somebody flirting with you or he's laughing with you. So I was thinking, people are so weird and so rude. And I feel really uncomfortable. But after time, I get used to it, and I think I have hard time going back to Russia because I just smiling everywhere.
Well, we have good news about smile. As we learned recently about brain research, we need to laugh a lot. And so if there is one lesson that we sent to Russia with all our Russian friends in this audience, is that you should laugh a lot more because it's part of the medicine. This is something for people who come from, I would say, Latin America. Laughter is part of the culture. It's a big part of the culture. In the Philippines, the same thing. People laugh a lot. And so if we go to Russia, either we will have to laugh and try to contaminate them to laugh with us, or we'll have to learn to be a little more serious. Let's go to Myanmar. Something that you found here at IS that nobody has ever told you about, but that really shook your heart.
For Burmese students who have been exposed to these different cultures, I think they will have a better understanding that when you greet people, sometimes in here, you hug people, okay? As a friend, boys, or girls, boy and girls, like that, you can hug and greet. But for those Burmese students who have never been exposed to this kind of international culture, they would think so differently. So when you hug them, okay, before I say that, in IS, okay, you will never see that Burmese students hug one another. They will hug with you, greet you. Maybe I will hug with others' friends, but I'm not going to hug and then greet other Burmese students here. So it's like we don't give hug for a greeting, but others, you give us hug for greeting. That's very good, actually. But in Myanmar, practically, we cannot practice that. But boy and boy, if you hug, it means something else already.
Well, I think we got the meaning of that. It is true that we expect to love one another, but in different cultures, we express this love differently. As I mentioned to you in the first presentation, I was in the Caribbean where I received kisses as greeting. The first month, it was the most uncomfortable thing for me. After 3 months, I was kissing everyone. And this, so we learned to change our behavior. I remember one of my students from Latin America was here and went to church one Sabbath, and she was telling us this story. And she met a lot of Latino people after church, and they were greeting and they were kissing. That's part of the culture to greet one another. And she got carried away so much that in the end, the kissing went beyond the Latino community, and she kissed a Chinese friend who was also a lady. And within a split second, our Chinese friend froze. She could not breathe anymore. Because in China, most likely, people do not kiss to greet. We're going to find out when we have the next interview if actually it happens in China. Let's go to India. Something that happened here that you never expected that actually happens in the world.
I come from a conservative church worship, When I came here the first time, they announced in communion service that for couples, function hall, and for single men and single women in the classroom. But I was I haven't made any friends yet at that time, only few friends, and they are couple, I was it was very awkward for me, and I cannot leave the two small toddlers and go and stand in line, because when I saw it was long line for single. And then I had to stay back, instead of washing my feet. That was something very different from my culture. For us, women separate. All women, married or single, okay, and men separate. So, but now I have lots of friends, and just recently, still then it was hard for me to stand in line, leaving my two kids. Yeah. But very kind women come at the back of me and tap me and say, I want to wash with you, So now I don't have to look for friends to wash, Okay. So,
Thank you.
Something very different.
Thank you so much. And so we need to be, as we live in this diverse community, we need to look around. We need to be observant. We may have somebody, for example, in her case, who seems to be new, who seems to be lost. This is the time we used to use our cultural sensitivity and jump in to help and ask if they need help. And that goes with the same with all of us. When somebody is saying something that is different, doing something that is different, we need to take time to actually ask. And that is my last question that we have for today. What should we do when somebody does something or says something that is contrary to what we know, something that they do or they say or they act, and we just feel like this is wrong in my culture. But you realize that it doesn't really matter. For them, it's okay. How should we deal with that situation? And I'm going to start with this side and go to that side.
We need to understand that we are here with different culture, 80 something plus from countries. So when you encounter like that, it's contrary to your culture, just understand that it's okay in your culture, you know. So don't be offended. We need to learn to live oneness in diversity.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Elisa.
I agree with Anita. I think we should understand that we are all different, but if something really annoys you or offends you, I think you should tell it, explain how it is in your culture, so we have good relations.
We need to talk to the person and try to explain that, well, listen, you know, in my culture, this is not acceptable. Like the hugging, now we know. I will make sure that I don't hug Kai. Was planning to hug him at the end of the class, but now I know that he will not take that favorably. We need to explain clearly to the people. If it becomes something really offensive, we need to explain that this is really something that I cannot be comfortable with. But if it is something that is not so offensive, maybe we should ask why they did that so that we can understand, try to understand if they meant to offend us or not. Yes, Kai.
Before I say that, I would like to tell you something. It happened last semester. So last semester we had a week of prayer in IS, right? And then the pastor, Filipino pastor, I think, and his wife, they came here to preach and to preach about the gospel. And our Myanmar community, we are also in charge of, you know, the potluck. Yes, thank you. Giving potluck to the pastor and his wife. Exactly what happened is that, like what Dr. Safari had said in the previous lecture, you know, the pastor and his wife, they were eating in our Myanmar community potluck. They were eating and then they could not move. They were eat slowly like this. The reason is, here's the pastor and his wife, and here's a Burmese student. Here's a Burmese student. All Burmese students. They were looking at them. So it's like the pastor and his wife, should we eat or should we not eat? And then I saw, you know, when I see that they are really having difficult time, and then I went to them and I smiled first. I smiled and then I told them, Pastor, this is our Myanmar Burmese cultures. So you need to understand, like when we give food, we have to stand next to you or maybe sit next to you. When you finish your eating, we have to put more food in your plate. We have to give you more. So please understand. After that, they eat more and more. I'm very happy for that.
I am glad that actually what we're talking about in the first session has also happened on our campus.
Yes.
And one thing I believe, what you did was very, very nice, where you will really take the time to explain to the person. When you see the person uncomfortable, we explain to them what is happening. I believe this is what God did to us by sending His Son to explain the culture of heaven to us. Because if we had to go to heaven without anybody explaining it to us, we were definitely going to be very uncomfortable and try to come back to planet Earth. Yes, Jane.
I think it is very important that we should be patient with one another. We shouldn't be quick to judge if ever this practice is different from our practice, because we see that each culture is unique. And I think here at IS, I can say that we can build our own culture, and that's Christ-likeness. And Christ-likeness, I'll say that we should love one another, By loving one another, we understand and we will be patient and open-minded. So by that, even though we're so diverse in our culture, we will still be united.
Thank you so much for, can we put our hands together for our speakers from different countries? We want to thank you very much for your input and for educating us on the matters of cultural diversity. And our audience, we want to thank you for being with us today. We want to promote the cultural diversity as we encourage you to be united in diversity. God bless you.